Adventure Time is well known as one of the best and most influential modern cartoons. This has a huge audience, and it's an incredible success with hundreds of episodes and multiple continuations and series. And that's largely because it grew with its audience. It was fun, silly, and colorful, but slowly introduced new compelling themes and ideas, darker storylines and arcs, heavier writing and developing its own lore, and most of all, more serious characterization. Adventure Time takes this lore surprisingly seriously as it goes along, especially what seems to be a wacky show. And especially, the show was never planned to actually have serious lore at first. They developed them as they went along. Like, the amount of times they go back to retcon so many pieces of random dialogue in the early seasons so they make sense later in the lore, it's really impressive.
Didn't steal it. I made that item. Made it with the magic that I stole! A magical crown whose phantasmal circuitry will bond to its first bearer. It needs a power source. The enchanted ruby eyes of the ancient lava dog Magwood! I did it.
Sorry we are about trying to eat you.
It's just we thought we'd never get another chance. We thought humans were extinct.
But it's not just the vampires or the users or them hungry-looking rainbows.
All history's greatest monsters, you are by far the most evil thing I've encountered. Offer your soul to me, Dark One.
Orgalorg is an ancient cosmic entity who ruled the solar system with his cruel and deadly whims.
It's clear. I am more than Gunther. Like a mighty chrysalis pushing out of a damp cocoon, I emerge.
Here at this site, my great-uncle Gumbald cut down all these taffy trees in a single night.
And finally, Uncle Gumball! What? What?
But yeah, since the series now has great lore, plots, and characters, you gotta ask, when did the change really start? Some might say the season 2 finale with Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil, reintroducing the Lich and world-ending stakes. Or maybe the season 4 finale that gave us far more lore and killing off Billy brutally. But I and many other people think it began with a Christmas special of all things. Yes, one of the most marketable and cliched episodes. They chose a Christmas special of all things to give one of the most important episodes in the franchise. Really think about that. But I cannot understate how important Holly Jolly Secrets really is, not only to the characterizations, but the plot of not only the entire series, but the entire franchise as well. And well, everyone who saw this episode knows why. This episode changed everything. Let's take a closer look at both episodes. Now before I start, I want to give the current state of the Ice King. In the first season, he was a pretty one-note villain with the whole kidnapping Princess Stick and causing other trouble. Honestly, looking back on the earlier episodes, it's pretty shocking.
They don't want to be here.
Of course they do. I would have killed them already if they didn't want to be here.
Jesus, dude! But yeah, despite that, the Ice King has drastically become less villainous as the series goes on, focusing more on their sadness and loneliness than their crimes. Season 3 introduced some episodes where he tries to befriend Finn and Jake despite them clearly not wanting to. He doesn't even want to kill them anymore, even when he has the chance. He's more of an annoyance than a threat at this point. So the episode starts with Jake digging up an old suitcase full of VHS tapes. If he remembers, he saw Ice King bury them in a dump. Apparently, the Ice King calls them evil tapes he needs to get rid of and hides them under a giant pile of boogers. Gross. But it does lead to the funniest joke in the episode.
Ready for him to leave. But he played in those boogers for hours.
So, Finn thinks that holds some evil secrets of the Ice King they need to watch through. So Jake gets excited for the watch party and hilariously puts on a bunch of flyers telling people not to see the tapes. Which, yeah, inevitably gets the attention of the Ice King, who's oblivious that it's his tapes and just wants to get invited to the watch party and have fun. They start watching the tapes using BMO, but they are just Ice King doing things around the house, talking to his penguins, getting really weird and being sad and lonely. Finn and Jake are getting insanely bored, and honestly, so am I. I hate to say it, but a lot of this episode is just watching the tapes, but most are just uninteresting or just unfunny. A lot just go on for so long, and it just really feels tiring. Jake gets bored and then makes some festive looking food, but it looks freaking delicious. But the Ice King goes to their house and wants to watch the tapes to bring some gifts, but the guys try and stay quiet and hopes he thinks they're not home. But BMO's alarm goes off, which Ice King recognizes as BMO, but like, how does he know who they are? They haven't interacted once. I guess maybe in still, but that feels really weird. Also, BMO stays in the house all the time anyway, it's not like that would mean they're not home. Okay, pedantic. They just go back to watching the tapes and nothing really interesting happens. You know, it's notable being Ice King recounting a usual encounter with Finn and Jake, which is kind of amusing at least.
You know, dear diary, I'm starting to worry that all these entries sound exactly the same.
Eventually, they think maybe the evil secret is in some secret code and call up Princess Bubblegum if she knows how to crack them. PB Antoine says she knows so much about codes, and wait a minute, why does she apparently know so much about secret codes? What could you possibly do in your kingdom of idiots that would require such knowledge? What do you have under wraps? Man, PB's the one they seems to be trying to find evil secrets for. Okay then, let's add that to the PB video. Has suspicious knowledge of secret codes and how to decipher them. That should piss more people off. But before we can see more proof of Bubblegum's evil nature, the Ice King breaks the connection on the phone lines that only exist in this episode and pretends to be the princess. But Finn and Jake catch on quick and call him out saying he can't watch the tapes. Finn says that he now knows the Ice King doesn't know they're watching his tapes and need to hurry. But now, something interesting happens as Ice King's patience breaks as he summons an enormous blizzard aimed right at the treehouse as the episode ends with Jake about to scream. So, part 1. Yeah, honestly not that good. It's just really boring and unfunny. It gives us the setup, sure, but everything else was just super boring, meandering, and just not fun. If they wanted me to feel like Jake, they 100% succeeded because I felt like I was there getting bored out of my mind watching these tapes. Like, the scenes just go on for far too long and it's not funny. Even outside of the tapes, so much of this episode feels like padding and pretty much nothing. It's a 2-part episode, but part 1 just feels so pointless outside from starting the plot. If this episode was standalone, it would be the most boring episode of Adventure Time. But luckily, it's not with part 2. Now, while part 1 was boring as hell, part 2 is where all the magic happens. It's far more enjoyable, interesting, and every single joke is gold. Honestly, I wonder if they could have just condensed part 1 to part 2, but I can imagine it would be difficult for an 11-minute episode. But okay, it turns out Jake was just singing Alouette. Wait, how would that song last 1,000 years into the future after humanity's gone? The house gets covered in snow, but the only thing the two feel is kinda cold, so they get warm sweaters and light a fire which looks so cozy. I love how the episode starts out nothing like Christmas, but then slowly becomes more appropriate. It's really fun. The Ice King peeps in and finds it's his secret tapes, as he knows to stop them from watching before they get to his horrible secret. He starts making a snowman by hand, even though he totally could just magic one up, but gets super into it. But back to the tapes, it starts Ice King crying for so long and then, wait, what's that pop-up doing there? This is not a recording, this is part of the episode. I'm just confused, why would they add that, like, what possible reason? Man, that must be annoying if this aired on another network internationally. But it doesn't matter as BMO thinks he found a code when the Ice King's 13th tier splits, correlating that to the letter M, making an image every single time he said an M word, producing...
This be the Ice King's evil secret? What does it mean?
Oh my god, that's so good, I love it! Man, this episode makes me hysterical. Like, there's another great moment when the Ice King made an army of snowmen by hand apparently, since he used his magic to bring them to life after he demands to get in and get the tapes.
Snowman, attack!
It's so good, man, it's so good. But now, knowing Ice King's onto them, they rush under the bed to finish watching the tape, with a pretty good one with Ice King pretending to interview a terrified Wildberry princess who has no idea what's going on. But Ice King breaks in, changes from his robe into a more festive outfit, and sends his ice crews to search for Finn and Jake. And then we randomly get...
Daddy, why did you eat my fries? I bought them, they were mine.
Okay, this is amazing. I still remember laughing so hard as a kid when I was showing them promos. Ice King and Marceline at this moment in the show had never interacted at all, even when they appeared in the same episode. There is no evidence to even know of each other's existence at this point in the show. And then to randomly see Ice King sing her private fry song while also wearing a wig up her hair is so random, so out of nowhere, and so freaking ridiculous, it's so hilarious. Though, yeah, after I remember you, this becomes a lot sadder, but man, at the time it was so funny. But the snowman quickly starts, and we get another pretty good moment with one Rudolph parody.
You're so unique. I'll name you Red Nose and make you leader of the pack. Well, now you look boring.
But the two are quickly discovered as Ice King and the Snowman go on an attack as Finn and Jake fight back. Bimo says he has one last tape left as he plays it as the Ice King begs him not to. And then, we get the moment that every Adventure Time fan will never forget.
Hello, my name is Simon Petrikov. I am recording this tape so that people will know my story.
Everyone remembers those words. This and the last episode were very lighthearted. It's a silly scenario with not that much plot, and the second plot is full of jokes. You would never expect a turn, a reveal like this. You're in the same shoes as Finn and Jake. Now suddenly seeing this one-note villain was once a real person. I think this scene is one of the most masterful pieces of characterization I've seen. The impact, the tone, the amount of exposition and emotions condensed in a few minutes. The music is so amazing. It's a masterpiece of a scene. Simon Petrikov, antiquarian of the old world, respected researcher with a woman who loved him, lost everything when he put on the ancient cursed crown. His fiancée left him. He gets visions of an apocalypse, and his body transforms as he tries to desperately cling to his sanity, begging people to forgive him and help him with no avail. So much of this reframes everything the Ice King has done in the previous episodes.
I know my mind is changing, but I'm already too far gone to know what to do. Just watch over me until I can find my way out of this labyrinth in my brain and regain my sanity. And then maybe Betty, my princess, maybe you will love me again. I want people to know that if I do things that hurt anyone, please forgive me.
A flat villain is now shown to be an honorable man who lost everything. Now is an insane, empowered husk of his former self and complete tragedy. This is where Adventure Time changed. This is where Adventure Time wants to tell serious stories. This is where Adventure Time wants to make the viewer truly feel for its characters and world. This is where Adventure Time said it wants to be more than a goofy kid show. And so much of the series is dependent on this one moment. Practically every important and meaningful emotional plot point ties into this one way or another. Without this, we wouldn't have I Remember You. We wouldn't have Simon and Marcy. We wouldn't have Evergreen, Betty. Even the finale itself depended on it. Even the entire Fiona and Cake series is based on what this episode introduces. And it did so masterfully, so emotional, so mature that I think it should seriously be studied and appreciated. And after that, the Ice King cries now they know his terrible secret.
You know that I used to wear glasses.
It should be funny, it should be. But the fact that Simon, looked at his own past and can't even comprehend what he's become and what he's lost. He's that far gone. But Finn does know. He's visually distraught. When I first watched, I was annoyed he didn't acknowledge what he saw, but now I realize how much he's keeping it internally as a hero. Now seeing the villain he loves to punch and defeat as a poor old man who went off the deep end and the man he once was. And I think for the first time in the series, he does give a genuine act of kindness to the Ice King and hands him back his tapes. The Ice King is overjoyed at the gift, forgetting that they were even his and his entire motivation a second ago. Again, it should be funny, but after everything, it's just sad. It doesn't get to the level of I Remember You where the crown is an allegory for dementia or Alzheimer's, but you can feel it. Ice King in gratitude gives them gifts he originally arrived with, and said they should do this once a year, and they do. Getting together exactly as they did here, watching old tapes and sweaters by the fire. It's funny how the episode grows to not being Christmas at all to becoming such an unorthodox Christmas again, reborn 1,000 years later as something new, but familiar. It's so nice and unique as a Christmas special. It's not only just them as they invite their friends. PB is invited too. Though, did she watch the Simon tape? Interesting if she did, then she would know the Ice King's origin. Maybe that's why she's a little nicer to him after? Though it does make this scene much worse.
The password.
Oh, my pinky!
Password now!
But hey, PB also invited her uncle too for Christmas. How thoughtful of her. Marceline's here too, but outside? What? Why is she not watching inside? Could it be foreshadowing that she can't stand to watch Ice King's past as Simon, since it's too traumatizing seeing the descent into madness that her essential father figure went to that's caused her so much emotional turmoil? Or it's just possibly a reference to her first appearance in Evicted, either one. And Tree Trunks and Mr. Pig are here too! Still down for making that Tree Trunks video, guys, just tell me. And a bunch of other cameos show up to the Christmas get-together, as Shelby says to commemorate the day that Finn and Jake had a moment of empathy for the biggest weirdo in OO.
It was a miracle. Good night.
What can you say about this episode? It's incredible. It's incredible as a Christmas episode, and incredible as an episode in general. And yeah, the first episode was pretty lame, but the second was just filled to the brim with such great jokes, atmosphere, and especially the plot twist at the end. And I feel it's obvious for what it's done for the franchise. Sure, Mortal Folly and Recoil had disturbing tone, scenes, and stakes, but it didn't feel real. This one hits much harder. It's not just a monster, it's a man that became a monster, and one victim they cannot help. This episode adds so much depth to a character who basically had none before and makes him such a tragic figure. In a world of such fantasy, it feels so strangely real. It's the first time Adventure Time wanted to really develop a character past the shallowness they appear to be, and they never forgot it. As I said, this has so much impact on the entire series. So many characters have their arc based on the single twist. Marceline has so much of her backstory dependent on this twist, and her relationship with Simon is one of the most heartwarming and heartbreaking stories Adventure Time has told. And Betty has a multi-seasonal arc to try and save Simon from his curse as the Ice King that lasts the entire series and even beyond it, where it becomes crucial to the Fiona and Cake series. I seriously cannot undersell how important this one episode is, and believe me, everyone in the fanbase remembers that impact it has. Everyone remembers how suddenly this goofy, silly show didn't seem to be so silly anymore. It helped it to become as beloved and respected as it is now. It introduced such great characterization that inspired Adventure Time to take other developments and risk developing other characters to such a degree as well. And all of that from a goofy Christmas special. And I think that's the magic of Adventure Time. It's very silly, wacky, and sure, a lot of episodes are nothing but that. But it's a lot smarter than you think. Despite what it seems on the surface, it wants to tell genuinely compelling stories, characters you can care about, and makes you feel in a way that only the best media can. And in a way, it's the perfect Christmas gift of the series. And it's a real change for the series too, as afterwards, Finn and Jake are notably more sympathetic to the Ice King. Sure, they'll stop him if he's doing bad, but now they're nicer to him, and try to help him out and see him less as a villain. And that's just a nice progression to see. And maybe it's a bit of a lesson in this, that maybe the biggest jerk you know has more to them than they first let on. After all, what is Christmas in the time of giving, and especially forgiving? So I hope you have a good December. And let me just say, we're just getting started here. And in the spirit of the season, as Finn and Jake forgave Ice King and were nicer to him, I ask for all of you who are mad at me after the Princess Bubblegum video to forgive me as well. I'm still completely right though.